They erased this story from every history book for 150 years. And the reason they erased it is the same reason you need to hear it. Midnight, October 1871. 600 armed black men moving through the darkness in South Carolina. Silent. No torches. Just boots on dirt roads and the sound of men who have had enough. Their target, a plantation where 11 members of the Ku Klux Klan are sleeping. The man leading this operation is named Jim Williams. 6 years ago, he was a slave. Tonight, he is a captain. And in 60 seconds, he is going to prove something that white supremacy spent a century and a half trying to make you forget. That black people didn't end oppose. T just survived the Klan. 1865, the Civil War ends. 4 million black Americans are declared free. But freedom on paper means nothing when the men with guns refuse to honor it. Confederate veterans form a secret society. They call it the Ku Klux Klan. Within months, it spreads across the South like a disease. The strategy is simple and savage. Right at night, white hoods. Find anyone who represents black freedom. Destroy them. A black man who dares to vote. His house burns before morning. A black leader who speaks up, dragged from his bed. Hang before dawn. A black family trying to buy land. Beaten until they agree to keep working for the men who used to own them. Hundreds murdered in South Carolina alone. In 2 years. Sheriffs look away. Courts do nothing. There is no protection coming. There is no one coming to save you. Except, they were not waiting to be saved. Because here is what the history books decided to leave out. Black Americans organized. They trained. And in several southern states, they built their own armies. Not mobs. Official state militia companies. Legally authorized. Commanded by black officers with the power to arrest. In South Carolina, the state militia was majority black by 1870. Men like Jim Williams were not just handed rifles. They were handed rank. Legal authority. Power. Think about what that meant. Men who had been bought and sold 5 years earlier were now captains and lieutenants, running military operations, commanding hundreds of armed soldiers. For the first time since arriving in this country in chains, black communities had organized force. And white supremacists had no idea what to do with that. Captain Jim Williams. Born into slavery. By 1870, commanding 600 men. He had watched his community get terrorized for years. Heard every excuse from white officials about why nothing could be done. He had run out of patience. Not rage. Precision. October 1871. The Klan lynches one of his men. The message: join the militia, and this is what happens to you. Williams musters all 600 soldiers. They move out at midnight. No noise. No light. Complete formation. Moving through the Carolina darkness toward a plantation owned by a man who bragged openly about how many people he had helped murder. Williams places his men in a complete perimeter. Every exit covered. Nowhere to run. Then he gives the order. The doors come down. Men who had terrorized an entire county, who had ridden in the dark for years knowing no one would stop them, find themselves staring down the barrels of rifles held by black soldiers with every legal right to be there. 11 Klansmen arrested. Hauled out in their nightclothes. Hands bound. Walked to federal custody. Not one shot fired. Let me say that again. 600 black soldiers. 11 Klan members. Word tore through South Carolina like lightning. Within weeks, black militia captains across the state run the same operations. 19 arrested in Union County, one night. Klansmen in Spartanburg fleeing to North Carolina before the militias arrive. The numbers become undeniable. A 90% drop in Klan violence. In every county where black soldiers operate. 90%. Over 600 Klansmen arrested statewide by late 1871. Federal trials. Convictions. Prison. Black militia men on the witness stand, looking their tormentors in the eye, naming every crime. The Klan was collapsing. Because of black soldiers. Because of Jim Williams. President Grant throws the federal government behind it. Passes the Ku Klux Klan Act. Declares martial law. Sends troops. And those troops work alongside the black militias, as equals, as allies. For one moment in American history, the United States government stood behind armed black resistance against white terror. It was working, and it could not be allowed to continue. Northern whites start watching, and start getting uncomfortable. Not with the Klan, with the black soldiers. Industrialists worry about labor unrest. Democrats see a path back to power through the South. Republicans decide full black equality is more disruption than the country can handle. The support dissolves. Federal troops come home. Militia funding disappears. White supremacist governments seize power through fraud and violence. And their first act? Destroy the black militias. Weapons seized. Units disbanded. Black officers charged with insurrection for doing exactly what white officers had been praised for. The message, delivered without ambiguity. Black self-defense is a crime the moment it becomes effective. Jim Williams is murdered in 1872. His killers are never charged. They walk free, protected by the same legal system Williams used to arrest Klansmen months earlier. This is what happens when you win. History then did what history does. It rewrote everything. Generations of American students learned that Reconstruction was chaos, that freed slaves proved they were not ready for self-governance, that the Klan was an unfortunate but unstoppable force. Every part of that story is a lie. Here is the truth. The original Ku Klux Klan was not gradually reformed. It was not politely discouraged. It was militarily defeated by black soldiers in South Carolina in 1871. The second Klan, the one that rose in 1915 with millions of members, only existed because someone spent 40 years making sure that what Jim Williams did could never happen again. Every gun law written in the South after Reconstruction had one purpose: not public safety, disarming black communities. Every ban, every restriction, every legal barrier to black self-defense, all of it traced back to one night, when 600 black soldiers walked through the dark and proved that when black people have weapons, authority, and discipline, the Klan runs. So the next time someone tells you black people were passive in the face of white supremacy, remember Jim Williams. The next time someone tells you the Klan was unstoppable, remember the 90%. Their names were stolen. Their victory was buried. Their story was rewritten into defeat. But the Klan still ran. The arrests were still made. The convictions still handed down. None of that can be unwritten. It happened. And the fact that they needed 150 years of silence to contain what it means tells you everything. Black freedom in this country has never been given. It has always been taken, fought for, organized for, defended, rifle in hand, at midnight, in the Carolina dark, by people who refused to wait for permission. That is the history. That is the record. And now you know.